you. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this month, this end of March's Training and Development Workshop. My name is Julie Cameron, and I am a LoveBiz host. And today I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming these lovely ladies to the screen, but also to the fabulous Claire Saxton from Saxton Marketing, who is going to share with us the delights of Twitter. Claire, I'm sure you'll agree, social media is a massive part of everybody's marketing strategy, and Twitter is one of those platforms that I am really scared of, to be fair. So I'm looking forward to some amazing insights. So without further ado, ladies, if I can ask you any questions that you have, I'll be monitoring the chat box as we go. So if you could just pop them into the chat for us. There will be an opportunity at the end also to ask Claire some questions as well. But any insights, any questions that you have as we go on, please pop it in that chat box. And if we get a chance, we will obviously answer them for you. So without further ado, handing over to Claire.
Thank you ever so much, Julie. Lovely to see you all. Some new faces I haven't met before. So a big hello to everybody. I'll do a quick intro as to who I am in case you don't know me. So thank you. My name is Claire and I'm from Saxton Marketing. So I'm a marketing consultant and social media expert. And one of my specialities is Twitter. So that's what you're all here for today, to learn a little bit more about it. And it's been in the news a lot recently, which I will cover a little bit about. But the key thing today is don't panic. Keep calm and carry on is the key to what my inbox has been full this morning, as I will talk about it in a bit. But anyway, I've got over 18 years marketing experience, but I've been working extensively on Twitter now for well over 8, coming up to 9 years. Basically, the reason that I love Twitter is the opportunity it provides for business, and it still brings me leads into my business. So it's a big passion of mine, and it changes all the time. So everybody who's ever seen me before may see some stuff I've talked about before, but there'll be new stuff because things change all the time. And as ever, with anything, I'll be providing you some top tips along the way, but also I'll make it clear whether it's applicable to Twitter or for all the channels, because I do cover other channels as well. So just to help me, can I have a show of hands? How many people have got a Twitter page that they're using at the moment? Okay. Anybody thinking about it but not ready yet?
I've got one, but don't use it.
Okay, that's fine. And then anybody who's really not sure, wondering if today will convince. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is how I've done some slides, which I've mentioned to Julie, will be available for anybody, which I'll organise with Sue to get those out to you. But what today will be is it'll be visual. I'm going to share my Twitter screen with you so you can see where everything is as I talk you through it. It'll make it a lot easier for you to access it. So I'm going to, this is a techie bit. See if I get it right, Julie. Right. Can we all see my screen? Excellent. So what I'm going to talk about first of all is how the look and feel of Twitter. Now I'm working off a desktop today, which is what I recommend for a business that you ideally work within, because this is where all the bits and bobs are going to be in terms of changing things or making any amendments to your pages or looking for stuff. But your Twitter is just as enhanced on a mobile phone as well, which I will cover a little bit about. But the overall experience today is on the desktop. So you'll be able to locate everything, hopefully in the same position. So sometimes Twitter has a tendency of moving things around for different people. But first of all, what I want to talk about today is there will be elements, you will have seen some announcements today potentially about Twitter. I will be covering that and giving you some top tips on that, and also this will be step by step, so really basic stuff right through to more in-depth stuff if you really want to delve into that. But let's get into the nitty-gritty first and talk about tweeting. So how do I get a message, or can I tweet? How do I do it? I think it's really easy on Twitter. You can go into the tweet box here, which is on your left hand side, or in the middle, there's a what's happening page. Now, my OCD, I like to click on the tweet box because it brings up a separate little section for us and it takes away what's going on in the background. And you literally, as you would do with any kind of social media, you type in here, and what you would do is whatever you want your message to be, you would type in this box. Now, the important thing to note here is you only have 280 characters in this box. This is one of the criticisms people have of Twitter, is that they have a lot to say and they can't get it out all in one tweet. But see it as an advantage. Sometimes we can waffle on too much and people get drawn away from a message. Twitter is more fast-paced. You need your message to be quicker. So it is good, but those 280 characters do include your website if you put a link on, but also includes hashtags. So everything is included in that. You can now also, a recent change they made was who can reply. So if you click on everyone can reply, you also get an option now, which is new. You can get people that you follow can reply to it, and then you can make it so only people you mention can reply. And this is it's another way of making it a bit more private if you're wanting a message. But to be honest with you, leave it as everyone unless you really want to change that. And under here, you've got lots of pretty little options here. So you can insert media, so that's photos, videos, etc. GIFs, which are good. You can choose a GIF that's applicable. And there's polls here. And I will come on to this because this is going to change very slightly. And emojis as well. And then we've also got the schedule button, which is new. So you can now directly schedule from Twitter, direct from this page. So if you click on, you can select a date for it to go live. And then if you want to look at historic schedule tweets, you can click on here. If you use this system for LinkedIn, it's pretty much the same as the LinkedIn version. If you schedule from there as well. And just press the box and it'll take you back out. And you can also, with a little plus button here, you can add another tweet. And this is how sometimes people get away with their 280 characters. You can keep layering them. But to be honest, make the ultimate experience. Do one tweet at a time, make it nice and clean. And the other thing that you can do is, we can discard that. You can, what I would say, sorry, I'm waffling. If we go to here at the top, you have a choose audience section. So you now can have Twitter circles. So you can create an audience yourself. So say, for example, you have a LoveBiz networking circle. You could create that and so you just tweet that audience. Again, it's another new feature that's come in and a few people are starting to use it. And some people you'll find are tagging you and they'll say, look who's in my Twitter circle. And that's what they're talking about. And you can edit that and add in people as you see fit. But one of my top tips for you today is to plan your tweets ahead. So have a social media plan in terms of what you're posting, but do some random posts. So for example, you might want to say that, you know, you've been on a training course this afternoon and learning more about Twitter, etc. That's going to be a live post that you would put on as and when. That is going to boost your algorithm. Having lots of scheduled tweets is great, but having some live ones will really boost your Twitter experience, which again, I will go through with you. Now, another key area of Twitter is retweeting. So what you'll find is that with Twitter, it is extremely fast paced and you're going to be going, and that can put people off because it's constantly going, changing all the time. As you can see, while I've been talking, 70 tweets have gone live. So it is quite a fast paced channel. But the key thing that's really important is that you have a social relationship with it. So you're not just tweeting, you are being sociable and you are supporting others. So retweeting is one of the ways around that. And so you may want to retweet a colleague, you may want to retweet networking contact, one of your clients, or just somebody that you're following, or it's something that's of interest that you want to share on your channel. And to do that, you just use these arrows here and you press retweet. It gives you the option. You can just straightforward retweet it and it'll just go into your newsfeed, or you can quote it. So if I test it, retweet, it's just retweets that tweet straight away. If I click on it again, but quote tweet, it gives me the option to talk about the tweet. So if I want to say something about it, I can. And then to come out, you just press the cross button and it will take you back out. To like a tweet, you just press on the heart. And again, what happens with that is it's just boosting the algorithm. Every time someone presses these buttons, you're getting further up the chain in terms of getting your tweet seen. So these are really important. You start doing that for the people, they'll start doing it for you. And now another new feature is you can see how many people have seen your tweet. So this little here, you click on view, you can see it tells you times this tweet was seen. So far this tweet here has been seen 10 times, but you can, it's a quick snapshot. There are mixed views on this. Some people absolutely love it and some people hate it, because 10, it's okay, it's not brilliant, but it's okay. Whereas this one here has been seen 119 times. And as you go on, you can sort of say like 323. And the more people are being retweeted and liked, the bigger that number goes up. This is why I emphasize it's really important to go through Twitter and retweet and like. And you can also share. So on here, there's an option where you can copy a link to the tweet, so you can send it elsewhere. You can send a direct message and you can bookmark, which I will go on to. One thing that's really important is, and I've said this before in some of my presentations I've done for LoveBiz, is whether you retweet is going to be on your business profile. So some people will use Twitter for following celebrities, for example, and I always use this one as an example, but some people might follow David Beckham, for example, because occasionally he posts some really nice photos that we think, oh, lovely. You retweet that to your followers, that is then going out on your business account. You might not want that going on your business account. It might be a kind of personal account, but not on your business account. So just always be mindful of that, especially if there's anything political or if you're sharing any views. Twitter is one place that people often head to maybe tweet their local politician or their local councillor or whatever. I would always say do it on a personal page, not on your business page, because it can rub off on your business and people don't always want to be seeing that side of you necessarily. So only retweet what you would want others to say. But my top tip is retweet other people. They will do it for you if you do it for them. And a retweet could be as simple as a sale for you. The more your tweets are retweeted, the more reach you'll receive, which is where we see those numbers around here. So the 320, the more people do it. So 17 retweets and 18 likes got that person 323 views. It just gives you an idea of how the algorithm is working at the moment. One of my clients had their tweet seen over 113,000 times in a 28-day period, just by a clever strategy, and that's all what we're going for today. So the Twitter feed, sorry, my computer's a little bit slow today. So in terms of the feed, this is what the feed looks like, and you will see there are two sections, and this is where the announcement was today, if anybody has seen the announcement. So there's a for you section and there's a following section. The for you section is what the algorithm is pushing out to you based on what it thinks you want to say. Bit like Facebook, bit like LinkedIn. It's people that you follow, but there will also be some people here you don't follow. This is a new feature from Twitter. The following tab is everybody that I am directly following is in this section. So it's exactly the same look and feel, but two different tabs. The announcement today is that Elon has the Twitter Blue, which is in existence now, where you can pay, I think it's £5.7 a month, or it will be, I can't remember if that's the exact figure now, to be a member of Twitter Blue. And the Twitter Blue will enhance your experience of Twitter. It will give you a kinder algorithm, it will push you to more places, and you get better analytics. But what he said today, that is, unless you're paying, you won't be in this for you section. So free, if you're just using the channel for free, you'll be in here, but you might not necessarily be in the for you section. And so as you can imagine, everyone's gone, panic. oh, if I'm not paying, I'm not going to get seen. Right, that's not necessarily the case, and I know a way around it already, because that's what I like to do. I like to throw it in, find the best solutions. So basically, in the For You section, if you pay, yes, you'll be in here. This will be the section that you're in. But if you have followers or other people that pay but you don't, and they retweet you, you'll still go into the For You section. So say, for example, I pay for You and the awards people here don't, but I retweet it, because I'm in the paid for section, my tweets for the awards people will get seen. So does that make sense? You will still be seen even though you're not paying for it, because I've been retweeted, because that tweet has been retweeted, which is why I say to you, it's really important about this retweeting and following and liking other people's posts, because that's what's going to get you in. So I didn't want to go over too much of it because it's quite complicated and they've only announced it today, but it's not as bad as initially everybody panics about it. It's not too bad. It basically means the experiences are going to be slightly different. So the key thing here, retweet and like other people's posts, but you can be cheeky as well with Twitter. And as you're going through and you think, oh, okay, right, this is all okay, but actually I don't want to see this tweet. You can go on the 3 buttons at the side, a bit like you can with Facebook. You can say that you're not interested in it, so it'll change the algorithm. You can unfollow them. You can add and remove them from any list you created, but you can mute them as well. Now, muting somebody means that you can just make them quiet, but you won't unfollow them, but it stops them being in your news feed. A bit like you can do it on Facebook now as well, which they didn't used to be able to do. They took that from Twitter. So you can do that without actually unfollowing them. So it's a cheeky way of doing it without them realizing that you're not really following them anymore. Don't stress though about checking the entire feed. There is literally stacks and stacks here. You're not going to have time to go through every single tweet. The key thing here is go in it little and often and have a look through. Your algorithm will start to show you what you want to see anyway. So the more you use it, the more it starts to know what you're liking and what you're retweeting, and it'll boost those types of posts for you. So as I mentioned, we had a bookmark section. So over here, you had on the buttons, you could have a bookmark section. If you go to this section here, bookmarks on the left hand side, it saves them. So it saves them for a later date. So again, a little bit like on some of the other channels, you can save a post for a later date. So if you like something, oh, actually, I want to save that, you can press on that bookmark and it will save them into this section for you. So you can go back to it at a later date. And then Twitter Blue, this is the paid for section. So yes, the prices are going to be tweaked. I think this is going to change, and this is the bit that people are getting a little bit worried about, but it is coming up. I think all channels are going to move to this. I don't think it's just a Twitter exclusive. I know Meta are looking at it as well. There will be elements of social media that you're going to have to pay for now. So personally, it was a little bit, I didn't want to necessarily have to pay for an experience, but I'm a social media manager. So I'm going to be doing the annual plan and also have another plan that's a free plan. So I have 2 accounts, and one will be on the paid and one will be on the free version. So I'll be able to tell clients and networks, etc., what the 2 experiences are like. And I'm going to do that now that I know what's happening. So I'll be able to give another update probably later on in the year in terms of how that's all going to work. But the Twitter Blue will mean that you get the verified tick. Now, originally, that was like people that had to apply to be verified. That's all scrapped. And instead, it will be if you're paying for that plan, you will get your little blue tick. And it gives you, you can edit tweets, you can have longer video uploads, a better algorithm for you. You'll see less ads, and there's other features that are coming as well that they're going to be going through to you. So that is something that you'll see a lot more of, and I just wanted to cover it briefly, and if you have any questions on it, I can cover it off later. Updating your profile. So your profile is really important on Twitter. So if you click on here, you can see my profile here. You can click on your picture and you can edit it at any point, and you can also click edit profile. You can change your cover photo, your image here, which I always recommend is you, ideally not your logo. Have a picture of you that are going to be networking, and your name. So have your business name here and your bio. So this is really important, but please know you only have 160 characters here. So whatever you're going to say, you can only put it in here in 160 characters. But the top tip I have here is use hashtags. So every time I've used a hashtag here, that's boosted me into the search engine on Twitter. So if somebody searches for marketing, and among that list, I'm there because I've used that hashtag here. And I use the location I'm in, groups I'm in, awards I've won as well. The other top tip I have is have your theme, your colorware as your brand color. So as you can see, mine is purple. You can, again, this is all changing with the look and feel of Twitter that they're doing at the moment in the background, but have your tweets so they're looking like they're in a uniform style. So like mine here is purple with an image in, and that's my logo. I try to keep them all the same so that as you're going through the Twitter feed, sometimes it's really easy very quickly to see who's who very quickly. And as you'll see, I've retweeted other people, so it does mess up my what my tweets have been exactly, but I try to have a varied approach in terms of what I'm retweeting. And as you can see there, I've tried to use the colour just as some examples. So you can also mention another page. If I go back into tweets, so say, for example, I want to thank somebody for doing a piece of work for me, or just give a shout out to somebody. All you've got to do is press the @ button and start typing somebody's name that you know are on Twitter, and it will give them a mention. So say I put in Saxton Marketing, it'll start to bring up all the Saxtons they can find. Oh, my husband's there, look. Saxton Marketing. You can click on Saxton Marketing and then it automatically tag me there. And you can type in your box what you're going to say. If you follow them, it will come up. If not, sometimes if you found somebody like a celebrity or a speaker that you found, you can just copy and paste the @ and put that in there as a way of finding them. But it's easy. If you follow them, it should come up straight away. And then you can type in what you're going to say, and then that will appear in their notifications. So it will show my notification that such and such has quoted you in their tweet, and you can thank them, and again, like it, retweet it, etc. But I always find, as a top tip of mine, recognizing and recommending others will boost your algorithm. But again, it's that social, being social on social media. You can very quickly send messages. So you can go to, say, for example, if I've got the privacy settings, you can go onto somebody's profile and click on the little envelope and it'll let you direct message them. So this can be another way of doing a direct message to somebody, or you can go in the messages section and go in there. And the key thing really is that whatever you message is private, so nobody else can see it, whereas everything else on Twitter is seen on your profile. So if you want to have a private conversation with somebody, or it says, send me a DM, that'll be what they're talking about. They're going, send them a private message. But when I always say to people is make sure you check it out on a regular basis. Mine are always quite popular because I'm in a networking group that on Twitter that messages all the time. So I get literally hundreds a day of messages, but it's always very important to keep on top of those notifications. Hashtags. So hashtags are very, very important on Twitter. And this is how other followers will find you, basically. So as you can see, people are using hashtags all the time in their tweets. There are varying different ones. And this is the key on where you have to be creative. So, for example, if you are talking about networking, you might use hashtag networking. if you're talking about that you went to a meeting in Leicester, you might say hashtag Leicester. Anything that you think is in relation, use it. Now, this is a new thing with Twitter as well. They have recently said that if you do a post, so say for example, let's just go to this one. We'll go to one that's right. This is a lady here that's put build a team, ongoing support is essential. So this is a VA. Now, nowhere in that copy has she said VA. So she's used the hashtag VA. If she'd put here, build a team with a VA, she wouldn't need to use the hashtag VA. The algorithm now is using whatever you're typing as a keyword. So it doesn't necessarily correlate. It's not going to push the algorithm. So, but you can be creative. So you can use different hashtags. We've used it before where we've said use the hashtag LoveBiz because it's a way of connecting all the LoveBiz networking contacts all together. I sometimes use awards I've won as hashtags, and there are other ones that are trending, which I'll go on to as well. Twitter will let you put as many as you like within its limit, but don't go too mad. It can look like spam, so I would say use no more than 4 per tweet. And there is a link between Twitter and your website's SEO, so hashtags and URLs are really important. My top tip: see what others are doing for hashtags and have a think. But there are trending hashtags and they're all different ones that we can be using all the time. I'm not going to have time to show you today, but one top tip as well is using Canva. Canva is free. You can pay for the paid for version, but Canva is great for creating your profile photo, your background photo. If I go back here, this one up here I did on Canva. If you're wanting to be creative and do something with your face here, you can. The images that I use Canva for purely because it's got all my branding, it's got my colours in, and they can make them specifically designed for the different channels. And that's just a top tip of mine, to try and get a uniformed branding approach on your social media. The other area is following. So if I go back to the top of my profile, you can see here that I follow 3,180 people, and I've got over 2,500 followers now. Now, what I always say is following is really important. Not everybody returns a favour, but you should. So if you see someone following you, have the courtesy of following back, unless you think they're spam or you don't want to follow them for whatever reason. You can also search for people. So you can type in here, you can search different people, you know, by just typing in the name, you can try and locate them there. There are Twitter awards, which is a separate enemy. It's a whole different ball game, which is a big thing I talk about. But again, if you do win an award on Twitter, it opens up a massive door for other opportunities for expanding your business. In a month, my client gained 83 followers just by a clever strategy. But when they won an award on Twitter, like for example the Theopathetis Fund, they gained over 200 followers in a month. And I've gained business off the back of that, because within those 200 followers will be people that want your product or service. So the Twitter awards are a biggie, and I can talk about that if anyone wants to cover that at some point. But the important thing really is don't be a robot. So don't go from today and go, do you know what, I'm not going to tweet anything. I'm just going to retweet and like other people's stuff. If you are too robotic, it can put people off following you, but also Twitter are watching at the moment. So they're seeing what people are doing. And if they think you're spam, they will put a few pointers in place to stop you looking like a spam robot. So the key to around that is posting regularly, but having a good content, a good mixture of content. Retweet others, like others, but don't just schedule posts and never be social. Never just say I'll do a post a day, but I'm going to schedule it. Don't do that, because it will make you look robotic. You need to be social on it. The other thing I do say is do review your followers. I do have a lot of followers here, which is great. But there are some that are spam. There is unfortunately a bit of a spam issue at the moment with some little graphic accounts, which is an ongoing issue that Elon had when he opened up the algorithm. So you might not want to follow everybody, but go in and you can generally see from somebody's profile whether or not they're spam. So usually somebody like this, Thinking Audit, for example, looks like they followed me recently. They, you know, it looks legit. They've got some hashtags, they're saying what they do, but as you go along, there'll be some that might not look like, okay, Lily, not sure, I don't know Lily. So you have to go in and assess, do you actually want to follow them? There are a lot of spam accounts out there. So you just, but don't worry, if you follow one and realize, oh gosh, it's a spam account, I don't want to be following them, you just go back in and unfollow them. Don't worry too much, but don't spend loads of time on this. Once a month, go through and have a look who you're following and whether or not you want to follow anybody else. And if you do win an award in any way, make sure that you are following those people back and other winners. So type of content. I just wanted to give you a quick sort of recommendation for the types of things that you should be posting. So having a Twitter content plan is really, really important. But my main recommendation is not to just use it to sell. Basically, you want to make people see the authentic side of you as well, so that you aren't just a person behind a computer screen. You are a genuine person that wants to be social and connect with others. So how do you do that? Well, with my clients, I pre-write their posts, which they approve, but what we look at is a slightly different approach, in that not everything is selling. Yes, we want to talk about what you sell or whether it's a product or a service, but we want to do some other things. That might be sharing useful items. So say, for example, you do something with food and you want to talk about recipes that you've seen, that you might want to share recipes. Share your blog. So if you have blogs, you should definitely be sharing those on Twitter. It's a great way of getting people onto your website. You could share links from your website. So, you know, talk about things that you've got on your website, but direct them back to there. The beauty of Twitter, it doesn't penalize you for taking people off the site. Facebook does, but Twitter doesn't. So it doesn't affect your algorithm if they go off and have a look at your website. Create some images. This could be quotes, it could be testimonials, it could be gifts that you want to do, like Happy Friday, Happy Monday, you know, it's the weekend, you know, it's time for gin and tonic. Anything like that is just bringing you more to life than just being highly business related. Share photos, photos should be on as many of your posts as possible. People are more likely to retweet or like something if it's got an image or a video attached to it. Ask people questions. What do you want to know? I get responses to questions all the time. It's a really good way of getting some free research. Share your top tips. I had somebody who contacted me that said they followed me because they liked the tips that I shared, and they said that they couldn't afford to pay me for my services, but they were confident that when they had a bit more budget, they could come back to me because they felt that because I shared my knowledge, I knew what, I knew what I was doing. So it kind of shows your expertise to do that. And share your testimonials. You have hashtag testimonial Tuesday or feedback Friday. They're great ones that everybody will be doing on those 2 days. So get them out there, but vary your content to keep your followers engaged. That's the key thing. But my top tip is keep a record of your tweets and then reuse popular ones, which you can see in your analytics, which unfortunately I won't have time to go through. It's a whole different entity, but it is a good one to look at if anyone is wanting to talk about it in the future. Now, my recommendation of how often you should be posting, my recommendation is 3 times a day, 7 days a week on Twitter. And that's why some people are put off by it because of the frequency, and quite often while they're outsourced to a social media manager. But it is the best way of getting into the algorithm. And when I work with clients, I'll go back in and I'll be going in their accounts 3 to 10 times a day, being social on their behalf. And it's just a way of boosting that algorithm. But when scheduling 3 times a day, make sure that you're still going in and being social, as I've said to you before. My top tip is get into a routine and outsource for support if you're getting stuck. Photos and videos, as I've mentioned. When you're doing your tweets, always look at these options here. Have something attached to your tweets, be it photos, videos, whatever, they will get you much more of an engagement with your followers. You can upload Twitter videos to Twitter, but they are shorter than Facebook. It needs to be 140 seconds long on Twitter. You can do live videos as well, but it's only on the Twitter app on your mobile phone. You can also use the GIFs as well. They're really popular on Twitter. They seem to go down really well. There is another section, which is Explore, which is this section on the left-hand side. So this is what, think of this as like a news channel, but what it's also doing is it's telling you what's trending now this second. So, okay, so Madeleine McCann, that'll be because there's a girl who says she's Madeleine McCann at the moment in the news. Whether or not the results of her tests have come out, that's probably what's trending at the moment. But it says it's for me. It'll be based on what I'm retweeting or whatever. But if you go to trending at the top, it will be what's trending at the moment. As you can see, politics are going to be up there, but there's World Theatre Day, Autism Acceptance Week. These are great things to be using. If you are in those circles or those industries, use those hashtags. So if you do anything that's linked with autism, you should be using that hashtag in some of your tweets. If you do anything that could benefit a theatre, again, use that as a hashtag. And if you go through, you'll see, Monday motivation, which could throw you out of kilt because it's not Monday today, is it? It's actually Tuesday, but because it was yesterday, it's still trending. So go through it and see what's trending, and there'll also be news, sports and entertainment at the top. It's just another way of keeping on top of what's trending at the moment and riding on the back of any specific trends that are taking place. Your notifications will always be in this bar here. So you can see here everything that's been, so people that have followed me, people that have liked and who are retweeting me. Verified is all the people that are paying for Twitter Blue, and that'll be their the people that are paying, who are therefore under a verified section. That's their notifications for my accounts, and anybody that's mentioned me will be in there as well. So you need to be checking your notifications on a regular basis because it's so fast paced on Twitter. Go in at least once a day and just make sure that nobody's asked you a question or said something that you want to respond to. The other thing to look out for, I mentioned the trends. You can access them from Explore, but you can also see them here on the right hand side where it says what's happening. You can see some of them here, and if you click on show more, you'll get more of those trends as well. My view on other trends, though, is that there are lots of other things that are trending out there. So, for example, we all know there's a day for everything now. So today, for example, is Respect Your Cat Day. So you got a cat, you could do hashtag Respect Your Cat, and you can be quite creative with that. It's also National Black Forest Cake Day. So come on, want to go out a bit of cake, you can do. You can be quite creative, and there will be one. So think about April as well. April is Stress Awareness Month. So if you do anything in your business that is related to stress, brilliant. You can then be saying, right, fantastic. I want to talk about stress and how I can help you. Use your hashtag Stress Awareness Month, hashtag stress, hashtag self-care. All these different things, you can be creative. And there's also things like Wine and Cheese Day, which I always think is brilliant. And then you can search in Twitter very easily as well. So this bar up here is for searching in Twitter. So you can type in a name, you can type in, if you were looking for anything specific, like a product, you can type it in and it will filter down the search mechanism for you as well. But that is basically, I've tried to do it in an hour. Normally I do training sessions over a much longer period on Twitter, but it gives you a quick snapshot of using Twitter. And obviously we will open up for questions in a second, but what I wanted to emphasize is that don't be scared of Twitter. A lot of people are put off from it because of its fast pace, and most recently people are panicked because of all the changes. The changes are there to benefit us, and for businesses, the actually change could be quite exciting. And for me, I've found that the algorithm's been kinder. I've had a couple of inquiries since Elon's come on board. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a case of monitoring it and keeping an eye on stuff. And as ever, if I see anything that could affect a business, I'll put it in the group and sort of make you aware of it if I spot anything. But as ever, I will be around in the group if everyone has ever got any questions. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter and ask questions directly on there as well. But hopefully that helps, Julie. I don't know if we want to open the floor for any questions.
Absolutely. So firstly, before we go to our question and answer bit, I just want to say a massive thank you to Claire. Obviously, for those that are watching this on replay, we're actually going to stop the recording now, hopefully soon, if that's okay.